Shenanigans.
All right, Mayor Patrick, you're up. Repubs are moving forward with banning race theory in schools. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, sure. So this is something that's happening not just in Oklahoma, but in different states around the country. But Oklahoma is the latest one to make news. Is that states are Board of Education and state legislators are banning the teaching of quote unquote critical race theory in schools, and a lot of people, since a lot of people don't know what exactly critical race theory means, they have to put it out there in a way that schools can interpret. And the language in Oklahoma, and I'm looking at this in the article because I want to make sure I get it right. It says they're banning lessons that include the concept that, quote, one race or sex is inherently superior to another race or sex, that a person's, quote, moral character is inherently determined by his or her race or sex, or that someone should feel discomfort, guilt, or distress on account of their race or sex. And the timing of this is very interesting and problematic because in Oklahoma, of course, in May 31st, 1921, was the start of the Tulsa massacre, where hundreds of Black people in what was considered then the Black Broadway, a very thriving. Sorry, yeah, right. Sorry, Black Wall Street.
That's what we're here for.
Black Wall Street was thriving at the time, and really a really thriving culture. My understanding about that was that it wasn't just it was a thriving Black culture in Tulsa, in part because Black people had been pushed to Tulsa because they weren't welcome in other places, and then they had this thriving culture in Tulsa that was decimated by this massacre, where hundreds of people were killed, thousands made homeless or displaced, and really just completely destroyed the community. And to be, I mean, at minimum, this is completely tone deaf on the part of Governor Stitt from Oklahoma and the Oklahoma State Legislature. At worst, it seems almost an intentional way to just spit in the face. I mean, how can you read a story like that as a white person in America and not feel guilt or shame about what has been done by other white people in our history, and now how can a teacher who's teaching in the Oklahoma schools still feel comfortable teaching about this history because some parent is going to say that their white kids are feeling guilt or distress because they're being told about the horrible things that white people have done, and they should feel discomfort or stress. I mean, guilt or stress. So my question is why is this happening now? Why do you think that this has become a big issue now, that quote unquote critical race theory is something that people should feel shouldn't be taught in our schools? Why now? Why are the state legislatures deciding now to take this up?
I'm going to start with Lizzie because Robbie always gets mad at me for starting with him first on these race questions.
Patrick, I'm going to say because, over the past 4.5 years, these type of races were emboldened by the 21st century Führer, Donald Trump. He gave these people a voice and made them feel like, okay, you guys are victims. We as white people in America, we as white men in America, we're victims. We aren't as bad as everyone is portraying us out to be. We're not racist. We're not white supremacists. We aren't the KKK. We are good people. We are patriots. And how dare we support an education that teaches something that is opposed to that? I mean, even look at, over the week, I think over the past week, there was the retired Army lieutenant. I believe his name was, let me see, Barnard Kempter. He was the retired Army lieutenant who was giving a speech on Memorial Day. And he had his mic cut off when he started to talk about the influence of African Americans on Memorial Day.
Oh, really?
How African Americans played a part in the creation of Memorial Day. As soon as he got into and this was a white Army lieutenant, white retired Army lieutenant, who's talking about African Americans and their influence in the creation of Memorial Day, and the organizers for the event cut off his mic. They cut off his mic.
They cut off his
So
live mic. Yeah.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
And so there's a belief that, only white history counts. Like we got away from that for a very small segment, Patrick. But then, Donald Trump came in and gave these people power, and he emboldened them and told them it's okay for you to be white and racist and not want to, commiserate and diversify and be a part of an America that is accepting to all people. So that's how we got to this place now. And all of these people, all of these governors and senators who are enacting these laws, they're friends of Trump. They're backers of Trump. They're supporters of Trump. It all
Party
falls
over people.
together. Yeah. Oh, absolutely, Rob. Party over people. Party over people.
All right. Robbie?
Yeah, it's made me think of a Family Guy bit where there's a couple of white guys talking, and they're like, "Hey, do you remember when we used to have all of the power instead of just most of the power?" And it's so there's a lot of state leaders and their constituents that are reminding me of that bit, because it's ridiculous. If you keep people ignorant, you breed fear, you breed contempt. These are the tools of division. Education builds understanding of another culture's viewpoint and allows you to better empathize, to actually understand about what is going on with someone outside of your peer group, out of your upbringing. And it's so important because, well, the world is a small place now. It's every nation is a melting pot. There's someone from everywhere on the planet. It's really neat. So we need to share our stories. We need to talk about history. And like Patrick was saying earlier, feeling gross, feeling that shame about what other white people have done historically. If I feel gross learning about my history, it means that I'm probably learning the correct version of the history, because
Interesting.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what population or what demographic you belong to. If you go back far enough, your people have done some heinous shit to other people in order to survive, to get by on that next one. So we need to share those stories in order to really understand one another and be able to move forward together as one human race.
Yeah. So here are my thoughts. So now I know that this is not exactly what STIT is doing, obviously, but I have a question for you guys. And I want to know, do you think it's easier, because he did say, so as Patrick said, he says that one race or sex is inherently superior to another race or sex. And so he doesn't want to teach that. And he doesn't want to teach the moral characters inherently determined by his or her race or sex. That's what they're not trying to teach. But the question I have for you, is it easier going forward by ignoring the past, but establishing from today, let's say today, and of course, STIT is not doing this, not saying that's what's happening, but is it easier to ignore the past, start from today, and say, hey, we are all created equal, right? And boom, we just continue believing that everyone is equal? Or is it better to continuously teach about racism, potentially creating like a new generation that kind of reiterates? Like, and let me explain why I'm asking the question, because I've been creating these TikToks on racism, racist songs and racism, and a lot of TikTokers are young people. So these young people watch my TikToks and they're like angry. They get angry, and they get angry at white people, right? They didn't know any of the stuff that I'm teaching them before. They had no idea, no concept of like that this happened, Tulsa, all these other things that I'm showing them.
Yeah.
They didn't know. And so they get angry at white people in the comments, and they get angry and they start saying things, and I'm like, okay, no, calm down. That's not what the purpose of what I'm doing here. My purpose is to educate. So I have a question. Is it causing a problem by bringing back up, resurfacing all of the pain and all of the issues? Is it more of a problem, or is it good? And I just want to know for myself what you guys think, because I'm going to keep doing these TikToks and teaching people, so that's not going to stop. But I'm just curious what you think.
If you're holding up a mirror that makes me feel uncomfortable, then I really need to look within myself why I feel uncomfortable with what you're showing me.
But I'm saying it's black people that are upset with white people. Is what is happening.
Well, I mean, I'll go ahead.
Truth hurts. But
Right.
regardless of who is angry or upset, the truth is the truth. You can't sugarcoat it anyway. And to get to your original question about equality, equality does not mean we're all the same. Equality does not mean no diversity. One of the worst things someone can say to me is if they walk up to me and they think they're, saying something to me in good faith, but they say to me, I don't see color.
Yes.
That's the stupidest thing to say.
It's much easier to, it's much easier to ignore race when you're coming from a place of racial privilege. It's much easier to not see when you come from a place of racial privilege, and to ignore that history, that when you come from a place where the history doesn't negatively impact you in the way that it does for Black people in the United States. So you ignore that. It puts that history puts a present in context, and unless we know that history and understand that history, we're not going to understand the present. We're not going to be able to know what to do now.
And
exactly.
And the thing I feel is like we want to prevent it from happening again. That's the most important thing.
Right.
Those who ignore their history are doomed to repeat it. So if we're not talking about the residential schools, if we're not talking about the massacre at Tulsa, then these things will reoccur because those bad ideas will somehow live in the subconscious. So we need to talk about it.
But is it creating division, though, by talking about it?
I mean, we could create division talking about the NBA playoffs. Like, that's not the point. Again, history is history. Truth is truth. And a lot of times when you give people their history and where they came from, it gives them confidence. Because up until that point, they've been taught that they, like Native Americans, like Black people, like even Asians and Latino people in this country, Jews in this country, they've been taught that they were nothing. That it was just the Anglo-white people who had the foresight, who had the brains to create America. And so then when you start to go through the history books and you start to do some research, and you're like, hold up, wait a minute, that's not the truth. I come from not only a wealthy people, but an innovative people, smart people that were engaging. That gives you confidence. And so
that created something like a Black Wall Street out of the ashes of slavery. I mean,
or created, blood plasma like Dr. Charles Drew. Like there are tons of things, that we could all build upon if we look at our history. And I'm not just saying Black history. I'm saying white history, Asian, everyone's history. That should not be to the wayside because some people might get their feelings hurt. Those are
and people should be angry about the crappy things that have happened in the past. The fact that people are angry when they learn about that doesn't mean that we shouldn't teach it. It means we should figure out how to address it, how to restore it, how to find restorative justice, how to address the problems, the bad things that happened in the past.
Yeah.
And it also corrects a lot of ignorance about who we are in our history. I can't tell you the number of times over the past 2 years when I, was at Howard teaching, and you had students that were angry about Black History Month because it was in the month of February, the shortest month of the year, and the white man, they're always trying to cheat us out of something. And I'm just like, but the white man did not create Black History
Month. I know,
Month.
Right?
Look it up.
It's being industrious, getting the same amount of shit done with less days in the month.
If you don't know history, you're going to still be, creating that division and being angry over something that is a false narrative.
Okay. All right, we got to get to these comments because we are way over in time, so we're going to have to make my thing short. All right, we need Fred Groves. We need to talk about how to help solve it. He also says no accountability. We are angry because it's not acknowledged. No accountability has been taken. Daria Winter says the problem now is that people do not even know how to discuss race. Learn the strategies of teaching.
Yep, that's true.
Jacqueline Robinson says there are Jewish people who were alarmed at the beginning of the previous administration because they recognized certain things from the 1930s. We have to teach our full history so that certain atrocities aren't repeated. That seems to be the theme here. We don't want it to happen again.
There are people in this country who don't even know about the Japanese internment camps. They have no idea that happened after World War II.
And I don't remember ever learning about the Tulsa Massacre in school growing up.
There you go.
Oh, no, we didn't either.
Or Neil, how about this? We went to a high school named Woodrow Wilson High School. We were never taught
that Woodrow Wilson was a terrible racist.
Exactly. We were never taught that.
Oh, he was one of the worst. He was right after Andrew Jackson.
We were never taught that. So learn your history, folks. Learn it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we have to move on, unfortunately. So great topic. It's a great topic, Mayor Patrick. We appreciate you.
Shenanigans.
Oh, you know what I'm forgetting to do? I'm forgetting to ask the panel at the end. Are we calling this
Truth, Lies, or Shenanigans?
So
Someone's still in vacation mode.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, I've been on vacation. So we're calling that Truth, Lies, or Shenanigans. That was definitely
Truth, Lies, or Shenanigans.
I'd say Governor Stitt's pulling some nasty shenanigans there.
Shenanigans. Yep.
Yeah, shenanigans. Calling shenanigans on that.
All right, so I'm up next. All right, so go.